Okay, I'm Robin Moss. I own Ribbit. It's a digital marketing agency, which I started in 1994. So I've been doing this since before it was cool. So I was the one where we were doing CD-ROM presentations, and I was going around and telling people that all computers would come with CD-ROM drives, and I insisted that the internet was not a fad. So, and we're still using the internet, so I was right. So with that, we'll start into the presentation. And we're going to be talking about how to grow your business with digital marketing, from websites to social media. We're going to market like it's 2014. Some people think that, they look around and they remember when 10 years ago they could, go around and they could hand someone a business card, and that was marketing. Now, if you can't show someone a website, you don't exist. So you have to be on the web. You have to have a presence. And content is what makes your website exist. So social media is how you connect with people. Smartphones. We all carry them now. It's really, really important. And local is now more important than national for search, which seems crazy town when you think about it. And design matters. Google has now written in the webmaster blogs that design is one of the most critical things. Because if you have somebody who has good content, bad design, bad navigation, and somebody that has a gorgeous professionally designed website, and they have even just so-so content, people will go to the person with the professional website because they think they're more professional.
Credibility.
It's a credibility factor. So branding, you have to have consistent branding across your platforms. Social media, website, print, email. When you look at my business card, my website, and then this is my Google Plus page. We're kind of into frogs for our header graphics. So we always take a great master and we frogify it. And but as you can see, there's consistency. When you go to any of them, you know that it's Ribbit. Mm-hmm. And so, you want to do that. But one of the things that we talk about to our clients now is responsive design. And the first thing they say is, well, should I have an app or responsive design? And what responsive design is, you have one website, and with that one website, you can literally, if you're on a desktop, you can take a corner and you can shrink it and watch it just resize itself. With an app, it's only going to work on your smartphone or your tablet, and you might have to have two different ones, one for the tablet and one for the smartphone. Now that's great if you're Amazon or you're eBay and you have this huge presence and you need to have something specific. But if you're an SMB, if you're a small to medium-sized business, the expense of an app might not be applicable. You might not want to invest that much money. Whereas a responsive design website makes more sense. You have one database. You just create one website. When you make a change, it goes everywhere. And it's easier to keep up. And actually, I spoke earlier of Google has a blog that they have for webmasters. And they literally say in their blogs, responsive design is the way to go. So who am I to argue with Google? So, and you need to have it because 65% of Americans carry these in their pockets and purses. So you have to understand that that's where the market is. And my little website, 22% of my visitors last month came to me on a smartphone. And you wouldn't think I'm looking for web design. I guess I'll get out my smartphone and look for a website designer. Or I need social media. I think I'll go on my smartphone and try to find that. But that's where they came to me from. When you have a responsive site, these are two different these are two different examples of responsive sites that we've done. The first one, Addison Arbor, is a local Addison nonprofit, and you can see how it changes to the tablet. The navigation changes slightly, and then on the smartphone. The perfect fit, we did a slightly different format, it changed, and then it went to the smartphone. But this is all something that is very easy. It just happens. The user doesn't really see it. They don't have to do anything to their website to do it.
Wow.
If you go to Ribbit's site on your smartphone,
So that's the result of responsive design.
responsive design, and when you tap here, you get the menu and you can get to each page on our website. It's the exact same content. Everything is the same except for it has resized itself for the phone. So you get everything that you would get on our site. It's, albeit it's reformatted some, but it happens automatically. We do all the work on the back end.
On the back end.
So that when our clients make a change in their database, which is what we call WYSIWYG based, what you see is what you get, all they have to do is type in their edits on their content, and it's magic. It just happens. The other thing that you need is nowadays is your site needs to change. You can no longer just put up a static site. Brochure sites are out, which is why we have blogging. So blogging is a fabulous way to have new content on your site. It also makes you an authority. Google loves to have people that are blogging and giving you great information. You can have as little as 300 words in a blog. You can actually have less, but 300 seems to be one of those little magic numbers. But you want to set up Google authorship, which Google has you do, and then you get authority as you do each blog. They say, oh, she's blogging again. Isn't that great? She gets more authorship. Then you get into social media. Crazy as it may seem, that's really important. People always tell me it's just this big black hole of time suck. I don't want to go down that, path. It's going to just devour all my time. And there's so many choices. Do I do Facebook? Do I do Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, YouTube, Instagram, Vine, Pinterest, Foursquare, Reddit? Okay, I could go on and on. It really depends on your business. It depends on, who you're trying to reach, their demographics, as to where you're going to want to go. Are you B2B? If you're a B2B business, you want to be on Facebook. I mean, there's a billion people out there. You might want to reach one of them. LinkedIn is very corporate. So if you're B2B, you want to be there. Google+, possibly Twitter, depending on your product, YouTube or Instagram. Instagram does give you 15 seconds for your video, and it lets you edit them. This is, very nice. Reddit and Quora, because you can become authorities. Once again, you can post questions, you can answer questions.
Never heard of those two.
Those are both what we call answer sites. People
Okay.
post questions and you can
Okay.
answer them, or you can post your own question. And once again, you can become an authority. And your business does dictate where you post. Your time dictates how often you post. There are ways to automate posting. I schedule out my posts. So right now I'm posting on Twitter, even though I'm sitting here. So you don't have to be actually actively on a site to be, you can schedule it in advance. B2C, same kind of thing. Facebook, Google+, LinkedIn, and Twitter, your basics that you want to look at. And LinkedIn is just, if your name is associated with your B2C business, you want to have a profile there for credibility because people might look you up. Pinterest, Vine, Instagram, YouTube, those might be places depending upon your product. If you have a cupcake business, you might want to post pictures on Pinterest.
What's B2C, business to client?
Yeah, business to customer, business to client. So Foursquare is another place. I mean, if you have a restaurant, Instagram is awesome because you can do an Instagram menu. Then when people come in, you know how you see something at a restaurant and you go, that looks delicious, and you ask the waiter? Think about having a whole menu on Instagram where they can go into Instagram, hit the hashtag of your restaurant, and then see all the food. It's an
I'm a foodie.
Look at Lisa's eyes.
it's a really awesome technique to get people. Foursquare still has its place. A lot of people have gotten turned off on Foursquare, but they still are getting a lot of people. They're doing a lot of promotions, so it still has its place. And once again, what you're selling and who your demographics are determines where you post. Facebook has changed. Mr. Zuckerberg has to make money now. He's a public company, so it's pay to play. There are a lot of people there, so you still have to have your page. So you need to have a presence, but their advertising is cheap. I mean, you can advertise for as little as $5 on Facebook. You can't do that anyplace else. So don't just say, I'm not going to do Facebook because it's ridiculous. People still search on Facebook, and millennials in particular, the way people use Google to search, they sometimes go to Facebook to search. So don't just discard it. Oh yeah. Seriously. They will go into Facebook and go florist. And because Facebook is location-based, they will get a florist in their area. They'll look at what they have on there and then call them.
So just like I use my phone and I'll Google for a
They will go to
restaurant
Facebook.
or a plumber or this or that or the other.
They will go to Facebook.
Wow, didn't know that.
So LinkedIn company pages are public. Many people don't even know that LinkedIn has company pages. Anyone who has a business, I suggest they have a company page because they give you some authority. You can refer people to it. People can follow it. You can post on it, just like a Facebook business page. They're awesome for SEO because they're public. So I suggest that you have one and that you post on it daily and you just schedule it out. Twitter, I love Twitter. I get business off of Twitter. I've built relationships off of Twitter. I don't have a huge following. I only have 6,000 some odd people following me. But
Like to have that.
but you have to tweet to be heard. I tell people you need to tweet 8 times in a day to be seen, because with my 6,000 people, my feed goes like that. You tweet once a week, I'm never going to see your tweet. So 8 times a day is sort of a minimum. I tweet 6 days a week. Customer service, so you sort of, if you have any kind of a, brick and mortar or a service that is being used by customers, you might want to be there to see what customers are saying about you. But you have to be careful. We've all heard about people who use Twitter inappropriately. You don't want to be that person. So you just have to be careful. It's 140 characters and it can still get you in trouble. Google Plus. Everyone says, why would you bother with Google Plus? And I always say the same thing. The first word in Google Plus is Google. We all want to be loved by Google because we want to come up higher in the search rankings. So I'm on Google Plus. Also, many of us remember the Places page, where you had the map that people could get to your business from that you can't find anymore. Well, that's now hidden in your Google Local page, which is hidden now in your Google Plus page. It's like, seriously, Google, you changed it? How many rule changes have you had?
They're driving you there.
So they've changed it into a Google Local page that's hidden in your Google Places page, which is now on your Google Plus page. It's very confusing, but it's Google. So you need to have a personal page, which gets you a business page, which gets you your local page. Yeah. But you have to be there. You play the game because it's Google.
Their tentacles are...
Google is Google. We love Google. Google might be listening. We love Google.
I can feel the tentacles
So
wrapping
what you
around.
need to notice, though, is you have to really play the game. Google merged my pages because I had an old one and they accidentally lost all my followers and all my reviews. It's okay, Google. It's okay. I'll re-get them. But the big thing is next to the little circle with the ribbit logo is a check mark. That means it's Google verified. That's a big deal.
Where's that
Up there on the left hand.
Right below the
Yeah.
The ribbit
Okay.
logo?
Yes, got it.
It looks
Okay.
like a shield.
I see it.
A shield.
That
with a
is very important because that means Google has verified that I am a real business, that I have a real location, and it's like Google's little stamp of approval. And that is so important.
golden.
Yeah. So they took away everything else, but they gave me the little check mark. So thank you, Google. So, and people ask me, how many times should you post? Facebook. Mari Smith is considered one of the premier experts on Facebook, and she just did a blog post about it, in which she said, well, some weeks I post 3 times a day on Facebook, and then some weeks I only post 3 days a week on Facebook, and then some days, and at the end of her blog post I said, so you just do what you want and it does what it wants. Because it's a numbers game. It used to be, Mari Smith has over 100,000 fans on Facebook. She used to, at any given time with a post, reach 80,000 of them. Now she reaches 8,000. Google is not the only one that makes changes. These changes in Facebook algorithms has really changed reach. So you still want to be there. You occasionally might want to boost for $5 or $6 and reach more people, but you just want to be there. So I post a few times a week and hope for the best. LinkedIn, I post 5 days a week, once on my personal, once on my company page. Twitter, I tell people 6 days a week, at least 8 times a day. Google Plus, several times a week, personal and company page each. And the big thing is, you have to remember you cannot post the same thing any place. Because personally, I have the same people that actually follow me on some of the same places. They don't want to see the same posts everywhere. You know, time of day differs, B2B versus B2C. I do my B2B, before work, lunch, after work, B2C, weekends and late nights. People will actually respond at 2 in the morning on the B2C. Content matters, curated versus unique. I have RSS feeds to hundreds of different feeds, so I have things to post that's curated, which keeps me busy. And when I write blogs, just as an FYI, blog titles are important. You don't want to say, wrote some stuff. Nobody will read that. It's just like you on Facebook see all those crazy titles about, there was this video, and then something amazing happened. It's like, I want to kill myself when I see this. But, do you know how many people click on those crazy videos to see what amazing thing happened? And I'm like, really? Seriously, people fall for that? Because it's really not that amazing. But, 7 tips. People will click on tips all day long. People want tips when you're doing B2B. They love tips. When I write a blog that says 7 tips, I can get 800 views in one day. So, it really does make a difference. Terms of service, which is what TOS means. For some reason, no one reads the terms of service. I mean, when's the last time you sat down and read the Facebook terms of service? Huffington Post yesterday, day before yesterday, did a whole article on terms of service. I posted it on Facebook. But the 2 biggies on Facebook, on your personal page, it is your personal page. You are not supposed to be posting business all day long. And I have people that in my feed who all day long sell. Buy from me, buy from me, buy from me. I have my jewelry business, buy from me, buy. You're not supposed to do that. And at a certain point, Facebook takes their page down. They also have rules about contests for businesses. If on your business page you are running a business and you do it against terms of service and Facebook finds out about it, they take down your page. What's unfortunate there is they also take down your personal page because they're tied together. Be very careful. They've been getting a little bit better about not taking down the personal pages now because you can have several people that are tied to and they can't figure out who to take down. So that's getting a little bit better, but they will take down your business page and you can lose it. So you have to be careful about contests. There are very distinct rules about how to run a contest. Okay. LinkedIn has rules about duplicate profiles. There are a lot of people out there who set up a profile and then set up another profile and then set up I don't know why people do that, but if you search for yourself and then find that you have 4 profiles, contact LinkedIn. They will help you, consolidate it. Otherwise, once they realize it and they've started doing this, they delete all of them. So you don't want that to happen because then you lose all your connections.
You have to restore.
Yeah. SEO. Everybody wants to know how they can get on the front page of Google. If someone comes to you and says, I guarantee you I'll get you on the front page of Google, run. Do not walk, run. out of the room because there are no guarantees. Google is changing their algorithms daily. Since they instituted Panda and Penguin, there is no I'll get you on the front page of Penguin. Their algorithms change too often. But it's like their latest thing is now they categorically say they do not use keywords in determining how you're going to be in their search engines. But they do use keywords to pull you off of the front page. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. But what they're saying is if you use inappropriate keywords, because everyone's still putting in keywords because Bing uses keywords. And since Bing is, like 18% of the market, you have to consider them. So it's like Google, Bing, and then the rest of the world we don't consider. But so if you have like my website, unless I have a blog where I'm talking about sex, if I have my keyword is sex, they'll penalize me because I'm using an inappropriate keyword, not as because sex is inappropriate, well, it could be, but because it's inappropriate on my website. Images are key. Not only do they help your website because people like looking at images, but Google is now looking for them. So you want to have the images. You want to name them correctly. You want to make sure that you don't upload your image as DSC000965543 because that's what your camera named it. You want to change its name to something that's appropriate. You want to make sure that its name doesn't have spaces because the server you're hosting your website on won't like that. So you name it something that's appropriate, and then you give it an alt tag, and your webmaster can help you with that. But that's something that you want to make sure they're doing. You also want to make sure that you're blogging because that gives you new content. Whenever you add new content to your website, Google will know, as will Bing. They re-index your site. You move up a little bit in the search engine rankings. And you also don't want to do duplicate content. It's been a big thing for the PR sites because they put out press releases and they've been getting hit hard by having duplicate content. You don't want to do a blog and then guest blog someplace and have the blog on your site and where you guest blogged because that's considered duplicate content. There are ways around it, but you have to, to be able to refer to your guest blog and still have, but you cannot just have the same blog in two places. That's duplicate content, and Google does punish you for that. You do want to be social. All the search engines are looking for whether or not you're social. They look at that as far as whether you're going to be considered deemed good or bad. One thing I didn't put on here is the speed of your site. That's very important now. But local is more important to Google than national, and it's one of the things you said. You pick up your phone and you speak into it, and it gives you not a restaurant in New York, but a restaurant that's close to where you are.
Because the GPS knows.
But your home, this computer most likely knows exactly where I'm sitting. And the problem is I'll have a client that goes, I want everyone to know, and I'm like, I can't do that because my computer knows where I am, and it knows how I search. And it dictates my search results off of my previous search patterns and my location. So if somebody in New York is searching on the same search term, it not only says they're in New York, it's taking into account every search they have ever done that Google knows about. And so their search results will be biased by that. So they will never get the same results that I get. So there is the other reason why if somebody says, I'll make you number one on Google, run screaming from the room, because number one for who? You can't guarantee that because it's going to be different for everyone. And it's a really crazy town kind of thing. So yeah. So if anyone has a question now, or did I overwhelm you?
No.